What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. Apologies for no min-maxing for fun and profit last week. I had a boatload of folks decide they wanted to join my tables, and they're all new to either Roll20 or Pathfinder or both, so we had to drop everything last Friday and roll up a bunch of characters. But today, Robin would like us to talk about a really dumb 3.5 optimization technique, a good example on why it's important to vet things before you release them in books, and why your wording should be clear and universal. Lightning maces plus aptitude enchantment equals... I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Did I just say sugarcoat? I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Just dumb and broken and broken and dumb. Now that we've all got that one out of the way, sure, great. Let's go nuts with it. If you're liking what you're seeing, remember to like, subscribe, and ding the bell. Remember that patronage at any tier gets you access to a Google Sheet where this disgusting creature of nightmares is all written up on, and several others as well. And hey, you know, we've got lots of room at tables and more than willing to start up some more. If you'd like to play this with your friends, though I think honestly we'd need to do some errata or caveat because it gets real dumb. Anyway, this episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you in part by my crappy eyesight. Here we go. Oh, Irving. Thank you for your support, my friend. Now, let's dive in. Okay, before we go any farther, let us first address the Siege Owlbear in the room, the reason this is so good. The feat Lightning Maces from Complete Warrior in 3.5, if you had combat reflexes, 2-weapon fighting, and weapon focus with a light mace, whenever you roll a threat, not a confirmed one, roll the threat roll on an attack roll while using a light mace in each hand, you gain an additional attack at the same attack bonus. Right? Seems pretty innocuous. Worst case scenario, if you roll a 19 or 20, you get another chance to bump somebody on the head with a kind of crappy weapon. The Aptitude enchantment from the Tome of Battle is really, really horribly worded, and that's why we're here. A wielder who has feats that affect a particular sort of weapon, like weapon focus, greater weapon focus, da-da-da-da, can apply these to any weapon with the Aptitude enchantment on them. So if you were to put Aptitude on, say, Kukris, which are critting in 15 to 20, and every time you roll a 15, whether or not that is a confirmed critical hit, you get another chance to roll another 15, or higher perhaps, and continue on ad nauseum. And I think we all can understand how this is just straight up too good. Not only are you, humble Marshall, in high level play taking up as much time as like the Master Summoner is, as you're constantly just roll dice, do damage, roll dice, do damage, roll dice, do damage. There's no means of stopping it. There's no, this takes an immediate action, this takes an attack of opportunity. It just goes on forever, completely unrestricted, which seems like a blatant hole in the design and in the wording of the Aptitude enchantment. Okay, cool. We all understand how that works. We all understand that it's a little not the greatest. Cool. Now that we're over that, let's break it in half, shall we? All of this today will be running through 3.5 and 3.0 content. Is it compatible in your 1E Pathfinder games? Why, yes, humble viewer, it is. But this one's going to be good. This one is going to outpace all of the other marshals at the table. You have been warned. Today, we are cracking open the Tome of Battle. I know there's some folks watching this that are going to be super happy because indeed we're building this on a maneuver-based class. 12 levels of a Warblade, and 8 levels of the 3.0 prestige class Disciple of Dispater, which is also very dumb and broken, but here we are. The Warblade was the intelligence-based maneuver class from the Book of Nine Swords. It gets to add its intelligence to a bunch of things. It's also a full base attack D12 hit dice progression, so that means it's good, classically speaking. And of course, it has access to one of the most powerful and like video game or anime-ish abilities in TTRPGs, those good old maneuvers. They refresh at combat and let you do sometimes magical things, sometimes just straight up powerful things. And then Disciple of Dispater which requires the feats Disciple of Darkness, Combat Expertise, and Power Attack. Gives you some sweet, hellish flavored stuff, but we're mostly just here for Iron Power when using an iron or steel weapon, so leave your wooden kukris at home, kids. You get a +1 insight on attack and damage, and your threat range is doubled, woohoo. At 8th level, your threat range is tripled. Note that this does not stack with the Keen enchantment, but it does stack with improved critical. And in old editions of D&D, when you had multiple multipliers like triple and double, you would reduce the highest one by 1, add them together, and have your total. You're looking at a quadruple threat range, or from 9 to 20, it's a critical threat. Or from 9 to 20, you get to try to roll a 9 to 20 again, and from there, well, hurt people real bad. I believe I need to talk about, at the end of this video, how to actually make this balanced, playable, and like how it can be used in the modern gaming sphere. Anyway, as y'all know by now, this video will be using the Elephant in the Room alternate rules system for cheating feat taxes, which the Disciple of Dissipator loves because Combat Expertise and Power Attack are both not feats, merely options under the system. So this literally just takes Bab, 6, any evil, and Disciple of Darkness, and you're good. Well, you're evil. You qualify. You understand. Point is, if you don't know what Elephant in the Room is, follow this card right up here and use it at your games because it's real nice. Today's race, because, well, we really haven't had the ability to build one in min-maxing for fun and profit. It's always felt kind of like cheesy at best to play a Kasatha, but like we're full diving into the water of cheese here. We might as well have just gone to Wisconsin, melted down the entire Culver's walk-in cooler, and just gone down to Cheese Curd Town. But a Kasatha, of course, has 4 arms, 1 primary and 3 secondary attacks, which means we have even more chances to do even more damage. Fun! For our stat priority, Dexterity, first and foremost, you will be attacking and damaging with it under Elephant in the Room with that Agile enchantment, or with Dragon in the Room. I need to make that at some point. Just for funsies. Then Intelligence, as it is the thing that we will be using for our maneuvers. And again, the Warblade gets to add that basically everywhere. Then Con, so you don't die. Then Wiz, so you aren't mind controlled. Though really, you could maybe flip-flop those around. I guess it depends on your campaign, because on the one hand, I don't want to get you killed, but on the other hand, I really don't want to see this thing get dominated and then thrown into the ranks of the party, or worse, just like the ranks of the town, and oopsie poopsie, that town population of 2,000 people all died in the span of about a minute. Strength before Charisma, you really don't need either. 2 dump stats here. For our traits, reactionary, of course, gotta have that +2 to initiative, and for funsies, fate's favored. We'll see why here in just a second. Let's talk feats. Out the gate at level 1, multi-weapon fighting is 2-weapon fighting for the Kasatha. Why exactly we had to grab a second feat for this, I'm not as sure as I could be. Either way around it, that's the name of the game here. Weapon focused light mace is next. Then at level 5, alongside a bonus feat from Warblade, which we will grab combat reflexes, a Disciple of Darkness. This feat says once per day, while performing an evil act, you may call upon your diabolic patron to add a +1 luck bonus on any 1 die roll. Meh, boring feat tax is boring given how out of hand this build is going to get. I'm sort of okay with how boring that is, but here's why we took Fate's Favored. If we gotta do the thing, might as well optimize around it a little bit, am I right? Of course, because we are using Elephant in the Room, there is no improved, only greater 2-weapon fighting, just simply improved that automatically scales to greater. Then Hammer the Gap is next. I don't think I need to explain to anyone how out of hand this feat is going to get, because it will. Extra damage for amount of attacks in a full round action? Yeah, that's probably going to come to a point where you've just done so much arbitrary amount of damage that you've one-shot anything. This is another example where, like, I could break down the damage math for you, but, like, just TLDR, my friends, it's gonna be egregious. We'll go ahead and grab Improved Critical at level 13 with Iron Power 2 online immediately after at level 14. And oops, you're off to the races. Hooray for that. Weapon specialization, light mace for a little bit of extra damage because again, that little extra damage will add up so fast in this build. You are going to roll into your threat range much more often than not. So what seems like a boring and innocuous +2 when that's become a +20 or more, well, that sounds like value to me. By that same token, we should probably also grab double slice just to get full dex with our rest of our attacks and improved initiative with that bonus feat, because you just gotta, it's real good. Last but not least, multi-weapon specialist. When you wield one-handed or light weapons in each of your arms, and all of those weapons belong to the same weapon group, all attacks with those weapons get a +2 to damage. Is it simple? Yes. Is it straightforward? Yes. But again, it's just the amount of out of hand that's going to come from this build means that what is simple and efficient becomes crazy and powerful with just the span of a turn. Anywho, for our maneuvers, there's a billion you could take, and I think a lot of these will be, in fact, a flavor to taste kind of thing. Whatever it is you want to do, you do that thing, but there are some that are just too powerful to be ignored, and why we indeed became a Warblade. First things first, blood in the water. This stance, which kicks on as a swift action, while you're in this stance, you whip yourself into a terrible rage. When you score a critical hit against opponent, you frenzy up, getting a +1 untyped bonus on attack and damage rolls, and it stacks with each successful crit. It stacks with each successful 9 to 20. This is like a strictly worse Hammer the Gap. It won't add up 1 + 2 + 3 + 4, it'll be 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, but it will be dumb plus dumb plus dumb plus indeed dumb. Dancing Mongoose as a swift action. You make one additional attack with each weapon you wield to a maximum of 2 extra attacks if you wield 2 or more weapons. These extra attacks are made at highest BAB and must be directed at the same opponent, but 2 extra attacks on top of a full attack routine is just more icing on the bloody, disgusting, overpowered cake that we are building. Pouncing Charge does not really need a whole heck of a lot of description. This is literally just pounce. Full attacking at the end of the charge is real good. Every martial wants this. We want it even more just to make sure that somebody doesn't do anything until we're ready for them to do anything, and usually by that thing we're ready for them to do, what I mean is roll to stabilize or just like sit and re-roll your character quietly while the rest of us play D&D. Anyway, 2 more. Gonna borrow these from a different school of thought. You thought we were broken, you thought we were dumb, you thought we were overpowered. All of these things are true. You're right, you're so right. But let's add in a little thing called White Raven Tactics. When you use this maneuver, select an ally within range as a swift action, somebody 2 squares away from you. You can't target yourself, that's okay, because it would break the world, as if we haven't already done that, but whatever. Your ally's initiative count immediately equals your initiative count -1. They then act on their new initiative count as normal. If they have already acted in the current round, they can act again. If this maneuver would not change your ally's initiative count, it has no effect. If they have not yet acted during this round, they change and they still act on that count as normal. A creature can only be affected by 1 White Raven Tactics. As per an errata used to be, just as a swift action, you could move somebody to right after you, and even just doing that once, even just firing the 1 off, will probably make or break a battle. Tag your wizard, let them cast another wall of force wherever it is that wall of force needs to go. Tag the other big scary marshal and let them continue to beat down on somebody. Tag the fireball guy for more fireballs. You get the point, right? This is just too good. And lastly, Moment of Alacrity. As a swift action, when you initiate the maneuver, your initiative count improves by 20 and your place in the initiative changes accordingly. The modifier applies at the end of the round. Your place in the initiative changes to reflect Moment of Alacrity's effect starting with the next round. This also lets you cheat in a second turn for yourself. Got a little White Raven, got a little Diamond Mind, got a little Tiger Claw, got a lot of real dumb, real good. So good, in fact, that I'm not even going to talk about any other useful items other than the Aptitude enchantment. Of course, you need the big 6. Follow this card right up here. Now, let's break this down and see what exactly we can do to make this fall in line with other classes you might see at the table, because this one just doesn't. There's no way for me to sugarcoat that. The amount of attacks in the round will most likely be more than everybody else in the party, and it again falls into that same realm as being in the party with a master summoner or being in the party with someone who's leadershiped in his entire high school graduating class. Your turns take 5 ever, and so often by the time you're done, the combat is probably ended, or at least like the big scary threats are removed, and then it leaves your friends to just mop up behind you. The easy answer here is just don't do Lightning Mace's Aptitude and still just run around with 4 kukris moving people around the initiative, and you're like a weird timey-wimey marshal, which is strong enough in and of itself. But I also think it would be fair if we limited Lightning Maces in such a way that you are expending an attack of opportunity to get that extra attack. Is that still a lot? Yeah, it really is. We are high dex, we're gonna have a lot of those, but that doesn't mean that we cannot also run into a hard stopping point if we can only make like 7 extra attacks. All of you are rolling your eyes, I know, but this build will probably get much, much more than 7 when it goes off. If I'm honest with you, even just as an immediate action, you can get another attack in is really good. And if you really wanted to pump the brakes on this, I also think that is a fair and reasonable way to balance out the combo. At the end of the day, we do have a base attack bonus of 20, or 9 attacks with 4 hands and greater 2-weapon fighting. If that 9 became 10, it still felt good, but it didn't feel as crazy as 9 of those having an overwhelming chance to proc even more and cause the math to spiral into a crazy death thing. I will also say that the Lightning Kukris build makes a very wonderful boss monster, in the sense of the fact that a boss monster it could actually be. So often when we have a party of 4 or 5 people and somebody's pet saber-toothed tiger going up against one thing, that one thing will get wrecked really, really fast. Video games and cartoons have lied to us. In D&D, you can't really put one person up against a group and expect them to just carry the day or even survive that long, unless they're just a lot more powerful than the party they are expected to fight, and Lightning Kukris is. Lightning Mace doesn't say you have to target the same guy. You certainly can spread all of those whirling kukris of death throughout the party, some of them targeting each of the front line, or even if you end up being some kind of large or huge monstrosity, maybe some people farther back with reach weapons as well, in such a way as you're hurting everybody at once, making everybody watch their action economy, watch their resources, run and cry to whoever's designated on heals, and probably have someone designated on heals if you're fighting this, or at least remember all those potions they've been carrying around for a campaign. This is doubly true using the White Raven stuff that allows you to bump up other people in the initiative if you, the boss monster, have a couple of friends with you and you just really need to have somewhere in the middle of the encounter the ability to make the wizard banish something just right now. In any case, I'm not even going to try to put this thing in the optimized party because it's just fear and terror incarnate, I suppose is the best way to put that, but that's all the time I have. Let me know what you're thinking about this down in the comments. Use this in an encounter against your optimized players if you would. I want to see how it pans out. Let me know. Till then, next time, well, I'm not exactly sure. I need to clean up my requests, as y'all know. And hey, real quick, if you're in the Discord and you missed the announcement, we are tracking our patron requests no longer on a channel, but instead through a Google form. Please do us all a favor. Make sure if you've made a request, it goes over there. Or if you have one, it goes there. Just so we can make sure things stay organized and we aren't losing stuff. But till then, thanks for hanging out, y'all. I'll see you next time.